He already putting his gloves on.
Excuse me. Excuse me. What's going on? What's you up to? Just taking videos. You speak English? You have an ID on you?
He's been standing at the window taking videos inside. You can clearly see the vault. I came out here, I stood in front of him, put my hand there, told him to stop. He's not listening. He completely just pretended like I didn't exist. My assistant manager came up here and told him to stop. We stood in front of the window. We put a sign in front of the window. Every time we put the sign here, he moves over to take more video.
Jeez, Karen, relax. Recording is not the end of the world.
No, absolutely not.
Has he said anything to you?
No. Completely quiet, hasn't said a word. But we can't let him just keep the video of our ball. Like, that's not okay.
You shut that off?
The last time I checked, I thought this was the United States of America and not Nazi Germany. At what point do they have the right to tell this man to shut off his camera? This is freaking ridiculous.
Central 315, go ahead with your traffic.
Parlez français?
So he's holding the camera up to the window,
Yes.
recording the inside.
I have
You
video
can't do
of
that.
him.
Parlez français?
I don't know what. And then he was pointing. He
No.
was doing this, counting. Like,
Who's the guy from LA? Okay.
I have him on video as well.
Yeah, him holding the camera up to the window, recording the inside. He can't do that.
No, absolutely not. He was like, I don't know what he was counting, but he was like doing this counting, and then he walked over here and he was his license plate.
Okay.
Yeah, he's just doing that.
Okay. Well, you need to communicate with him. He needs to leave. He needs to stop doing that. He needs to leave.
Parlez français?
And I don't know that the bank is gonna let him keep that video. Just let him know that's he's got.
You need to speak. You need to talk. Parlez-vous français? English?
Parlez-vous français?
What do you speak?
Budete I oinge ute acte abare igpe atenle. What? Today I'm going to talk about Pig Latin. Pig Latin is a code and language game that's used mostly by children in the United States.
You see, I'm really good friends with KCA, and I know for a fact he doesn't speak Pig Latin. He doesn't speak Karen. He doesn't speak the pig language. But what he does do is he talks money. You guys are going to have to pay up.
I know you're on the sidewalk, but you can't record the inside of a building. That's an invasion of privacy. You can't do that. Even from the sidewalk, you can't do that. Yeah.
Yep.
You think somebody can walk up to your house and hold the camera into the window and start recording inside your house? No, you can't do that. Now, are you going to speak with us? Yeah, I don't care about the sidewalk. Are you going to talk to us? I don't care. Yeah, get the badge number. Are you going to leave? Are you going to leave? No, because you're recording the inside of the leave. You're not going to communicate with us? Do you have an ID with you? Do you have an ID with you? Pat him down for an ID if he's not going to cooperate. You are being detained. No, you are being detained. Do you have an ID with you? Pat him down for an ID if he's not going to cooperate. You are being detained. No, you are being detained.
2,000 minutes for cooperate.
You are being detained. No. You are being detained.
First 2,000 a minute for unlawful.
I don't care. I don't care. Want to play these games, not listen? Check for his ID.
Oh, that one's not done. Turn your wrist, man. There we go. Phone. This feels like a wallet or something over here.
Okay. Get his wallet so we can ID him.
Let me just get these double locks real quick.
What do you not understand about you cannot hold a camera up to a window to record the inside of a building? That is not constitutionally protected.
He trespassed my eyes. I'm on the sidewalk.
That's not constitutionally protected. You think somebody can record through your window inside your house? Whatever.
On the sidewalk.
Whatever. No, you can't.
Okay.
That's invasion of privacy.
What's your name?
There's no expectation of privacy in public. I'm on the sidewalk.
You're holding the camera,
I'm on the
recording it.
sidewalk.
I'm not going to argue with you because you don't want to listen. No.
Listen,
No, I'm not going to because you don't want
You
to.
came out on level 2.
Okay.
You never even de-escalated.
Because you played stupid games. I can't understand what you're saying.
Because
We tried.
I don't have to talk. I can invoke my Fifth Amendment right.
Did
I
you
don't
get
have
his
to
ID?
There's
talk.
no ID. It's just a
I hope you
phone.
find the ID. You're going to realize you messed up.
Okay. No, we didn't mess up
You
anything.
did. You did.
Oh, is there a name on that?
I don't know. I'll find out.
Oh boy, you are in trouble.
Like I haven't heard that before in my career.
Like you say, handle in court.
Like I haven't seen people like you play these games before.
Games.
Yes,
So the Constitution
games.
is a game to you?
No, you playing games, trying to provoke. You trying to provoke a
I didn't
response.
speak to nobody. That's
Doesn't
why
matter. You're trying to provoke
It's okay.
a response.
I didn't even speak to nobody. I knew you would say that. I knew you would say that. That's why I
exactly
want to
what
talk.
you did.
Mm-hmm.
This is State versus Angel Moses. Like, hang on.
You better be in the same trouble. They did the same thing.
Okay.
You say handle in court. Those dismissal papers. Somebody doing the same thing.
Oh boy, you are in trouble. Like I haven't heard that before in my career.
Like you say, handle in court.
Like I haven't seen people like you play these games before.
Games.
Yes,
So the Constitution
games.
is a game to you?
No, you playing games, trying to provoke. You trying to provoke a
I didn't
response.
speak to nobody. That's
Doesn't
why
matter. You're trying to provoke a
I didn't
response.
speak to nobody. I knew you would say that. I knew you would say that.
That's exactly what you did.
Mm-hmm.
This is State versus Angel Moses. Like, hang on.
You better be in the same trouble. They did the same thing.
Okay.
You say handle in court. Those dismissal papers. Somebody doing the same thing.
Same thing for traffic violation?
Buddy, you in trouble.
Same
Flip it
thing
over.
for a traffic violation?
Flip the other one over.
Blank page.
Dumbass.
Okay, what do we got here?
Dismissal papers.
No contact order.
Same thing.
No contact order.
Man, boy, y'all.
Is that
No
Yeah.
contact order isn't dismissal papers.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's far from it, actually.
I'm telling you.
It's
I don't care.
Moses, Angel Moses.
See, I don't care about the law or the Constitution. I don't have to speak.
Oh, we do.
It's your Fifth Amendment
No,
right.
you don't have to speak.
It's your
That's
Fifth
right.
Amendment right.
But you're intentionally trying to provoke
No, I'm
people by
not.
playing
I
games,
didn't even
walking to
speak.
banks, recording into
I didn't even
videos.
speak. Why are you yelling?
trying to provoke.
And you a
I'm
sergeant?
talking loud,
But
talking
listen,
to
sir, you
you.
a sergeant.
Because I can't talk to you.
came on level
Because you
10.
just talk over,
It's okay,
over,
sir.
talk over. Keep talking over.
I never
Talk
talked over
over.
you.
You right now, talk over. So he check out of Iowa for like all the counties. Angel Moses, Hershey Sanders.
I'm not running or going nowhere. I'm standing right here. Like,
We'll see what we can locate. We can knock the can out of Iowa.
oh boy. I'm surprised. Officers tell somebody to move from the sidewalk? This is a public
No, I didn't tell you to
sidewalk.
move from the sidewalk.
You just did.
No. See,
Got
here we
body
go.
cameras
Here we
on?
go. Once again,
just
you don't
can't-
want to talk. You don't
you
want us to
can't-
talk.
You videotape inside of the bank.
You can.
Yes, my video recorder's going.
Now,
You
now
cannot
listen.
videotape
Once again, you don't want to listen to us. Once
Let
again,
you talk first. Let you talk first. Go ahead and then let me speak.
okay. When we came up, I don't care. We didn't say anything about the Constitution. We didn't tell you to leave from the sidewalk. We told you you couldn't look into the video, into the bank with your camera, record the inside. and you just wanted to pretend like you couldn't understand us, and you didn't want to communicate with us, so you left us no choice.
No, sir. Okay, can I talk now?
Sure, go ahead.
I do have rights.
You do.
I have a right that I actually don't have to speak with you, sir.
That's correct.
I'm on a public sidewalk. I can point my camera or look wherever I want.
No, you cannot. That's not true.
So if I'm over across the street, I can't point my camera?
Yeah, sure you can. Sure you can. You cannot walk straight up to a window and point the camera.
I wasn't right at the window. I was right here. I was almost behind the road. Go ahead, show. Even if I was, this is a sidewalk.
You can't do that. That is invasion of privacy.
There's no expectation of privacy in public.
Bro.
Public.
Bro,
you don't know
you're not listening. Okay, so if this is a house, okay, and this is somebody's window to their bedroom, you think you can walk up?
I can't go on someone's property. I can't go on someone's property. I can't go on someone's property.
He just doesn't want to listen.
I can go on someone's property.
Man, talk about being quiet. Man, this guy has no idea. He's back and forth. He's degrading him, belittling him. Hey, you know what? Why don't we do this? Why don't we go ahead and give Deputy Chief Justin Jones a phone call to address the situation. Oh, that's right. I'm also going to bring up a month ago when I talked to him on the phone, he got mad and hung up on me. It was unprofessional. I had to escalate it to the city manager and the chief, and now it's blown all out of proportion. And wait till you hear what he asked of me in the middle of this conversation. It is classic.
I can't go on someone's property. He said, hey, I thought you officers would be smarter on the public sidewalk, you know? Okay. There's no, you can't turn a constitutional protected activity into a crime. All of you officers on the same page? You can't turn all right, y'all. Let's go.
And this is where KC8 called me from the back of the car in handcuffs.
Deputy Chief Jones.
Justin, how are you doing?
I'm good, Mr. Zangar. How are you?
Good. We had a conversation about a month ago. Do you recall?
Yes, sir. I recall.
Last time you got upset and hung up at me. I'm hoping you see how serious this is now that I'm calling back a month later when I tried to address how serious the situation is. I'm sure you've seen the video by now, correct?
I have.
So I know that the chief is off for the week, and you're handling all the concerns and phone calls now currently about this situation, correct?
Correct.
So what do you guys plan on doing about the situation? I mean, are you guys going to at least investigate? I'm more concerned about Corporal Bill Payer's conduct and his just lack in regard for citizens' rights, and I feel he's a little racist with the way he came across. The other two officers, I feel like they just kind of went along, just because Bill kind of overstepped, and they kind of just fell in line. I don't think that Crawford was really out of line. I think he was trying to find out what was going on and be that peace officer, but Bill Payer is a ticking time bomb waiting to go off. So, what's your next step? Are you guys going to go ahead and launch an investigation into this? Or
yeah, absolutely. We received numerous complaints, so yes, there will be an investigation. And the investigation basically started the day that this happened. So.
And was that from the individual that complained about it, or was that just based on my call with getting a hold of the chief and the city manager?
No, it was a totality of the number of complaints that we've received, and just like I said, the totality of everything. So
I'm obviously an activist, and that's why I tried to get a hold of you beforehand, before it got worse. Now that you've seen the video, the totality of it obviously probably looks a lot worse than what our last discussion was about, because obviously you weren't out there in the field. You were only taking
and Mr. Zangar, I would point out, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I would point out that the video doesn't clearly demonstrate the totality of everything that happened that day. You understand that Mr. Moses was not arrested for recording. He was arrested for his warrant.
Okay, what about the unlawful detainment that started in handcuffs before we got to all that?
Right, and see, that's where we agree to disagree, and I believe that's how I told you that day. If you don't mind, can I ask you a couple questions?
Sure, I'm willing to have a civil conversation. That's not a problem.
Sure. So, were you in town that day?
I was not in town that day.
You were not in town that day, because the conversation that I had with you, it sounded to me like that you were actually there witnessing it for yourself.
I just know that I had the phone call with the gentleman from the back seat of the patrol car because he was on his phone in handcuffs. That's how I know what.
So Mr. Moses called you from the scene. I get it. Okay.
Yes, and I am really good friends with Mr. Moses. We both are activists. We do the same exact thing. We know the laws. We know exactly where the line is drawn, where it becomes reasonable suspicion or you have probable cause to make an arrest. So we do.
Right.
We do have lawyers and stuff that tell us what we can and what we can't do, where it could get us into a pickle and where we can be arrested. So,
right.
And my concern with Mr. Bill Pierre before he put hands on was he was trying to twist it and compare a business to a house.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like basically, like Peeping Tom.
Yeah.
Trying to equate, looking in somebody's window as opposed to an open business from the sidewalk. Yeah, I know what you mean.
And that's a little concerning from being a corporal. And based on his age, it looks like he's been on the department for some time. It's not like a rookie that could maybe mix that up somehow, fresh out of the, because, in the first couple of years, you're going to make mistakes when you come out of the academy. You're still learning. You can't learn everything in the academy or, during field training. I get that. My concern was just the fact that Bill Pierre's whole complete attitude and distaste, saying he didn't care about whether he was on a sidewalk or not. That's that's probably the most public traditional forum, besides sitting at the steps of City Hall, that we have to be able to exercise our rights. Find out what was going on. He didn't find that Mr. Moses was a danger or a threat. He turned his back on him to talk to the other girl. I believe you had a little bit of a Karen at the bank, not knowing, the comment she made about, I don't think the bank's going to let him have. Woman, you work inside the bank. Your jurisdiction is inside the bank, not outside the bank. If it was unsafe, why would you go out there and act like his mother and tell him no, that he can't record?
Right.
There's obviously wasn't a safety factor, so he should have never been put in handcuffs to begin with. Terry v. Ohio and Florida versus JL, since this pertains to a phone call, says that nobody needs to go into handcuffs except for when you're being arrested or if there's an officer safety factor. There's 3 officers having a conversation that did not deem Mr. Moses a threat. And then Bill Pierce proceeded to go into his pockets, which is an illegal search. You can do an over-the-clothes pat-down, but you can't go into somebody's pockets and pull something out. And then go and belittle him on that dismissal. That dismissal is because I wrote a motion to have that case dismissed based on grounds that were identical to the way Pierre was talking about the Peeping Tom and putting it. I got that case dismissed. I don't want to tell you my background because you guys don't need to know other than me being an activist. My whole thing is, Justin, look, bottom line is this. This is a serious nature. And I know you were upset the last time you hung up on me. We didn't have a civil and cordial conversation like we are now addressing this, and I understand it. Now you've gotten to see the video, okay? And I know you asked me the one question, and I'm hoping that I answered it. I know you probably maybe have a couple more, and I'm willing to answer questions.
Well, no, the reason why I asked that question is because one of the things that you may not be aware of, and that the general public is not aware of, I'm sure, is that we had a report that there was a second person inside the bank recording the vault as well.
Well, I understand that, but based on the Supreme Court of Florida versus JL, your officers need to corroborate that complaint before they can just put hands on with somebody. It's a Supreme Court ruling about when search and seizure of a person or papers and effects can happen under reasonable suspicion. You guys really need that. Read that case law and get familiar, because that Florida versus JL is how a lot of people get in criminal defense cases get out of stuff, because officers are under the assumption that just because you have a call for service and that something is being relayed to dispatch, that it's factual. It's hearsay until it's corroborated. Until you go inside the bank and either observe criminal activity of that person being in the bank or go talk with the complaining party, you don't have anything but somebody just simply exercising their rights on a public sidewalk. And then when your officers roll up and this lady's saying he can't film, he's on a public sidewalk. He can film all day if he wanted to. There's no there's no suspicion of any criminal activity. For Puryear to stretch it into peeping Tom, to escalate into reasonable suspicion and then into handcuffs without being a threat, and then going in his pockets, and then forcing him to ID, that cop, Pierre, needs to be in jail. That's official oppression under, and I think you guys in Missouri call it like a abuse of office or something like that. I have to look up the statute again. But there's also a federal civil rights crime for it as well. It falls under Title 18 U.S.C. 242. What Bill Pierre was committed was a crime. You know, and Moses didn't even commit a crime, and he was thrown in handcuffs, shoved up against the wall, and was belittled and berated about exercising his rights. Pierre belongs at least charged to where he can stand before a jury and let a jury decide. I mean, I know you can't. You guys can always recommend bringing charges to the DA after you do your investigation. But I think that's what the public's going to want to push for in this case. You need to have a sacrificial lamb in this case to save the city of Kirksville. You know, I don't know how big your city is. I don't know how many officers you have. You know, the last thing you need as a police department and a city, and maybe a peaceful people. I don't know what the crime rate is. I don't know what the population is. But the last thing you need is about 30 to 100 activists sitting there in your town. Because I guarantee you, one of your officers, especially if it's Bill Pierre, will easily overstep. This should have been used as a training tool for Crawford. Bill Pierre should have allowed Crawford to take lead since he was the first one there. But Bill Pierre, obviously, I feel is racially motivated to escalate things. He obviously doesn't know the law because he doesn't know the difference between residential and commercial. And there's just a lot of problems with Bill Pierre and the situation, because I would like to know what's going to be done, how the chief feels about it, what you feel about it.
Right. Well, I mean, the one thing that I will say is that I think the incident could have been handled a little differently, better. It was a little more emotionally charged than I would have liked it to have been. And there will be an investigation. And Mr. Zangar, if you would, I know I'm not in a position to ask any favors, and I don't know that this is anything that you're even capable of doing, but as you can imagine, we've been inundated with calls and emails, and most of which I don't mind. I don't mind having a conversation like what we're having right now, but the threats, the name calling, the doxing, the posting of our officers' home addresses, you know, I'm going to follow you home from the parking lot and harm you or your family. If you have any way of calling those hounds off, I would greatly appreciate it. Because obviously we're trying to do the right thing on our end, but the more time I spend fielding those kinds of phone calls, the less time I have to protect the citizens of my town.
Justin, I want to comment on that, okay? Because I had the same issue in the town in Texas that I'm at too. So just to let you know, I never call for any of that. I will let people, know that if you feel like calling and redressing, the police department and explaining, how you feel, or you want to have a conversation and let them know how you feel, that's fine. I did that very, very 30 minutes after you and I talked. So you probably received phone calls then, okay? However, there are bigger channels of hundreds and thousands of subscribers on YouTube that have already put this video out, okay? Sure. I mean, I know of at least Mr. Moses put it out. I put it out without body camera footage, okay? I only explained because I didn't have the footage at the time. I only have based on what... in fact, I was doing a live stream when Mr. Moses called me. So I didn't have, I'm sure you got a few phone calls that day, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and I never called a dox. I never have anybody call to threat. Sometimes the language may be there, but guess what? That's part of the First Amendment. What isn't part of the First Amendment is doxing people, not making threats, you know, calling back and continuously harassing people. That is not something I call for. The other activists, I don't feel that they call for that either, because I've watched the videos. However, we do have crazy people that get upset, and some people can't check their emotions, or they take it a step further than what is necessary. I can't call those hound dogs off, because I don't know. It's just like when you guys come out, I don't know what that person's mental state is. I can't control someone to not pick up the phone and use their words because they're in whatever state of mind. However, there are 4 channels that have already put this out starting yesterday morning. So you're probably going to keep receiving calls the whole week that the chief's out. And I'm just telling you because I tried to tell you this a month ago, that this situation was so bad based on what Mr. Moses told me in the backseat of a car, because the reason that he gets put in the car so often compared to me and other activists who do the same exact thing is because he's black. It's all racially motivated. I know that police officers see black folks as more of a dangerous threat to their officer's safety than any other culture. I know you can either admit it or not admit it, and that's fine. That's what they train you in the academy for. And I know what you guys go through, and I know what you guys train through. I know what they teach you guys. I have that side of the understanding of call. I have family members that are cops. You have no idea. I was trying to address this and head this off before it got worse. Unfortunately, you got upset. You hung up on me. I called the city manager. She didn't have any idea other than driving by and seeing a little piece of what was going on. She called the chief. The chief called me back. We had a conversation. He wrote it off like it's not a big deal. And now here we have the situation that turned into a volcanic eruption because we didn't head it off when the earthquake started rumbling. And now you've got to deal with it. And, you know, and I'm not trying to be mean and rude. I'm just letting you know that that's the reality of it now. If we don't head it off when stuff happens, things roll downhill and get bigger and bigger on the way down, and they hit people in the face. I try to resolve things before they get too big, because now that this has gotten so big, now it's damage control instead of making something right at the time that it's happening. You know, I don't know what Mr. Moses is going to want to seek after this. He doesn't even know that I'm making this phone call. And the only reason I'm making this phone call is to give you an opportunity to have another conversation because of the way things ended with us the last time. I wanted to see if you wanted to at least save face. I've already reached out to the city manager. I found out the chief's already on vacation. So I figured you were in charge this week. So I figured I'd reach out to you. And I held on the phone for a good hour or maybe close to it, waiting to talk to you because I wanted to see if you're willing to have that conversation or if I was going to get the same treatment I did the last time. You know, I wanted to see if it was the culture of the department or if maybe you were having a bad day. You know, if you were having a bad day, I get that. People have bad days. I'm not a mean person. I'm not a hate. I don't want any harm to come of anybody. You know, I wish we lived in a perfect world where everybody was safe and nobody committed crimes and, you know, everybody treated everybody with respect. But unfortunately, we don't. I mean, I deal with disrespectful people all the time. And, you know, sometimes I go off on some people because of the way I'm treated. And guess what? You could call it I'm having a bad day, but I also know how to turn it on and turn it off towards people. My question is, I mean, and not only did Bill Pierre commit several crimes, but I'm sure that he broke several policies, which is what you guys go by when you guys do your internal affairs investigation. I know you guys don't go by the law because policy shields them with qualified immunity, but that still leaves the city and the police department completely liable under a Monell claim. So, I like I said, I don't know if you need Mr. Moses to file a formal internal affairs complaint. I don't know if he wants to. I don't know if I haven't even, like I said, I haven't addressed it yet. I didn't want to bother him because it was Father's Day yesterday, and I wanted to talk to y'all first to see what y'all were doing. But if you need him to follow up with a formal complaint to match the investigation that you guys, I mean,
yeah, we've already had multiple people wanting to file for him. So yeah.
I mean, well, and I know that filing for somebody does on behalf of somebody, because I do it too. I know a lot of times it doesn't really go anywhere unless the person's doing it themselves under perjury of law. I'm just asking because I want to get this resolved. My concern is Bill Pierre. It really, the way we had the way our call happened the last time and you hung up on me. I'm not mad at you. I don't hate you for it.
Yeah, and I let my emotions get the best of me, so I apologize for that.
And it's like I said, I got nothing against you. I don't know you, Justin. I really don't. I don't. I've never seen you. I haven't shaken your hand. I haven't sized you up. I haven't seen you on video. First impression wasn't really a great one, but the second one, you seem like you're having a better day with the circumstances of the phone calls that you're receiving. And my concern is Bill Pierre. There was no way that man was having a bad day like that. To where, I mean, having a bad day is just maybe berating somebody or being disrespectful, but man, you know what? I've come across some really bad cops in my life, and I'm going to tell you right now, from what I'm seeing, he's probably on the top 5 to top 8 of my list.
Mr. Zingari, I apologize. I do have a staff meeting to go to. Do you have any more questions for me, or can we? Can we end this call peacefully? And
well, I just want to know. With the resolution of everything after you guys complete your investigation, am I able to receive some sort of communication on what the results were?
Well, I'm sure we can tell you that it's concluded, but obviously we don't discuss disciplinary issues or disciplinary action if any is taken.
So it's already concluded.
I'm sorry?
So you're saying that you've already investigated yourselves and?
No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's done. I'm saying it's continuing, but once it's concluded, we don't discuss any disciplinary action that's taken.
Oh, okay. That would be something I'd have to get through records.
You could try.
What does that mean?
It means that we do not release information on disciplinary action that's taken.
There should be public records, though.
I don't believe it is, but you're more than welcome to reach out to our Human Resources Department.
Okay. Well, I will do that, Justin. You go to your staff meeting, and
yes,
hopefully, your department can learn from this and
sure,
make the other officers better and not make a simple mistake. I mean, this isn't simple, but you know what I mean. Bigger than what it could have been.
I hear what you're saying. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Justin.
I think it's something that everybody's going to learn from.
Hopefully, that's all I can ask for. But But anyways, I will let you go. I appreciate you taking my call.
You're welcome, sir.
And have a wonderful day.
All right, you as well, sir. Take care.
Take care.
BZ Watchdog.